So I'm thinking about a bunch of stuff. And, well, the first thing I'm thinking about, I was just watching Wandering Gypsy on YouTube. She often has interesting thoughts about things. And she remarked that I don't know what I was thinking. Not very fun.
To be looking for snakes, tarantulas, all the critters. The critters. Not a soul around. Literally not a soul around. Awesome. You know, when I come to Quartzsite, I don't like to set up camp amongst all the crowds and the busy places. So I go
That's
far
her,
back.
by the way. Not on purpose, but it's the video I was listening to. But you saw me get out, and you might have heard me talk to that guy. I opened this video with, I was thinking, and there could be the argument made, no, you weren't. Because the reason I got out in that whole thing was that I was in the grocery store. I bought a few things and a thing of water, big thing of water that I was going to put in the back. So I left the shopping cart right behind my truck, went in here, filled my cooler, packed everything away, got in the truck and backed up. And I don't know if you could hear it on the video, but I hear, oops, I hit something. So I stop and I go out and I knocked over that shopping cart, and the water's laying on its side. Shopping cart wasn't damaged at all. And there was a guy there sort of looking at it, and I said, not pretty dumb thing. And he said, yeah, it's okay, man, something like that. So I picked it up, put the shopping cart where it belongs. And so I wasn't really thinking. I used to work with this guy named Shane before I retired. He was kind of my partner for a while, working emergency stuff in
I've hiked the
emergency stuff in Fairfax County. He was a paramedic. He handled the medical stuff and I handled the mental health stuff. We worked really well together. But whenever I'd have a good idea, he'd say the phrase he'd use is, good thinking, Rob. That was not an example of good thinking. But anyway, back to Wandering Gypsy. She usually has I would say it's fair to say she has deep thoughts about things, interesting thoughts. And she remarked that every year she comes to Quartzsite, and if you're in Quartzsite and you're boondocking like I usually have done in the past, you're out in the desert, and the vast majority of her footage has desert in it. And she said she gets kind of lots of, I don't know if she used the word negative, but sort of, why are you out there? It seems so desolate, and it doesn't seem like a good place to be, basically. I'm paraphrasing. She said that much more eloquently than I. But I find the same thing there, especially when I talk enthusiastically about Quartzsite. It's the desert. It's a little tiny town in the desert. And some people just don't understand. They say, it's the last place I would go. There's so many other options. But there is a feeling and a beauty in the desert that it transcends any kind of description I'm capable of uttering. Yes, the sunsets are beautiful, the sunrises are beautiful, the way the light shines off the mountains during different times of the day really transforms the place. You're in the same spot, but it looks like you're in a different spot. And of course, I've gone on and on in videos about the great people, and it's a mecca for people that choose the nomadic lifestyle. So it's like a giant reunion every winter. And I really, really like it there. And I don't foresee a time where I'll stop going to Quartzsite. So I want to get a better look here. On the left, under that red sign, is another truck that I mentioned in yesterday's video, Island Noodles. It's just, I can't tell exactly what it is, but it looks like it looks pretty interesting. It's like their signs and stuff are like a curiosity-provoking thumbnail on a YouTube video. I want to watch it because I'm curious to what all that means. Then across the street is it's not a trailer, but it's a very small building called Fat Straw Drinks, coffee, tea, boba, B-O-B-A, I don't know what that is, fraps, refreshers, and smoothies. I don't think they're open on Sunday, though. It didn't look like they were open. And there on the right, you can't see it because my big fat face is in the way, but there's a giant sculpture of an oil derrick with oil men working around it. But my little square's in the way of that, so sorry about that. You missed a good sight this time. And there on the left here, up in the corner, is that restaurant that has so intrigued me. The Wellhead. You know, obviously it's the one with the black awning on the left there, and it's obviously caters to the fact that we're in the Permian Basin and we're in oil country. But it's just so intriguing, and I've never been there, but I'm going with a bunch of people on Tuesday night, and I will film parts of it. I'm not sure my friends will want to be on YouTube, but I'll certainly do parts of it, let you know how the food is, and show you at least the food I order. And here, as we leave Main Street in Quartzsite, if there's any doubt that you're in oil country, you just look straight ahead down Main Street. It's like, oh yeah, oil country. You know, we talk a lot about clean energy, green energy. I think all that's potentially great stuff. But if you do even a little bit of level-headed research on oil, you will find that our dependence on it is very, very deep. And the alternatives such as windmills and solar and variations on those things, and battery powered cars and things of that nature are just scratching the surface. It doesn't take much Googling on, you can even ask Google, what are the things that crude oil is eventually used for? It'll blow your mind of the number of things and products and things that our oil is used for. Then you can just go into I really like this Chat GPT because it's sort of a super on steroids internet search, and it can make mistakes, but it gives you the resources that it uses, so you can back check your Chat GTP answers and see if you like the sources. You can ask it, like, what products am I likely to use every day that uses oil? Or you can ask something that's like, how much oil does it take to create and maintain a single wind turbine to generate energy, and how does the cost of that oil stack up against the energy that it produces over its useful lifetime? And include the use of oil in how the windmill is taken care of or disposed of at the end of its useful life. I don't know the answer to that question, but it's a damn good question to ask ChatGPT, because I think you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And as you start digging into how we use oil, you'll get more and more convinced that, wow, we are deep in this dependency on this liquid gold. And the things that we're doing that seem to have some promise of reducing that dependency start to seem pretty insignificant at this point. I suppose someday we'll have things like nuclear fission reactors inside engines of cars or something, where you get a lifetime fuel cell, and you don't get that kind of thing can happen in the future, but it's not here now, is it? I've seen a few things on electric vehicles towing RVs. That's kind of happening. As stressed as I am, though, about getting caught with the gas running low with a gas station not being near, I'm sure that anxiety would be tenfold with an electric vehicle. I don't seem to be willing to do what my friend Cheryl, Pup Camper 58, does. She hits half a tank and she's like, that's it. Next gas station, we're filling up. And me, I don't start considering it till I'm down to a quarter of a tank. And, you know, getting a mileage of 9.5 miles to the gallon, that quarter of a tank, that goes down faster than one might like. So stopping at that, yesterday I stopped and did a review on a little food truck, Mexican food truck, and I end up with a ton of food. Not only what I bought was like 4 of these really big tacos, and I can only manage to eat one because I did have breakfast this morning. So we got 3 tacos left, and she was so excited about me doing a video on them. She came out and gave me this gift of this, I don't know what it is. I think it's some kind of dessert. I'll have to examine it more closely when I get home. You know, you might even have the same complaint people have about Quartzsite looking at this landscape where I live. It's pretty flat, seems to go forever, but it doesn't. There's some, if you look closely, there's some mountains on the left. There's some, you keep going straight ahead. You'll, about an hour or so, you get to Carlsbad Caverns, and there's pretty mountainous terrain with beautiful things even closer than that. Yeah, but it's pretty deserty out here. It certainly is, and you know, what breaks up the monotony is the occasional oil rig. There are plenty of those out here. We're back to oil, huh, Rob? By the way, Dottie is with me, but she is absolutely 100% sound asleep. And we're at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're on a Sunday the 16th. And 2 weeks from today, I'm embarking. It'll take me 2 days because I'm taking it easy to go to Quartzsite for 3 months. Quartzsite, Arizona. Can't wait to reunite with all of my friends and people I know. We've seen a working oil well as we just passed there on the left. And I see one on the right that's not moving. I do get questions every once in a while about, do you think about replacing your rig? What would you get? Are you interested in getting a new one? And the answer is, you know what? No, not really. I am still, after 4 years, very, very happy with the layout, the quality, the configuration, my truck, the trailer, everything. And that was not skill, that was blind luck. And I bought a new one and did not have it inspected because I didn't know any better. And I just got lucky that nothing really went wrong with it, and it was very close to COVID. It's a 2021 Winnebago, and I believe it was constructed in the first quarter of 2021. And you know, the COVID thing really didn't hit big time until the second quarter. So we had January, February, and March, that first quarter. There were certainly rumblings in March, and then I think April, it was like things really started shutting down. So my rig barely got under the wire there. I hope I have my years straight in my head here. If not, I'm going to get a lot of comments. And I think I mentioned I used to get really upset, like people that have critical things to say on the comments. And then I found out that the more comments you have, the better YouTube likes it, because it's an indicator of engagement and interest in your channel. And the more people comment, the more they're going to push the video out. So I'm like, what am I complaining about? Fire away. And whether or not that's actually true about YouTube, I don't know. Is it? I, I haven't got a clue whether that kind of stuff is actually true or not, because they certainly don't disclose how they do it. But I've been in my career been involved with mathematical predictive modeling, and I'm certain that that's what they're doing. So, and in predictive modeling, I used to do it for credit risk. Things that you think would make sense are in the model. Not everything makes clear sense, but the vast majority does. So when they say something like, comments, engagement, yeah, I buy it. I think it's probably in there. I think what they really look for, if I were building a model, you build a model by making suggestions about what variables to have the model look at. And I would certainly look at not only how often are people going to the video, but just as important, if not more important, how long are they staying and watching? Because the ultimate goal of YouTube is to get you to watch the whole video so you can, guess what? Watch the ads, because that's how they make their money. Watch the advertising. So anyway, that's all I got to say today. I'll check you again tomorrow.